This is a story about the devastating reality of Stockholm Syndrome, told through the haunting experience of a woman named Clara. Clara was an ordinary young woman, working long shifts at a diner in her small town, when her life was ripped away in an instant. One evening, as she walked home, a man pulled her into a van. She woke up bound, blindfolded, and trapped in a tiny windowless room. Her captor, a man named Aaron, spoke to her softly at first, as though coaxing a frightened animal. "I don't want to hurt you," he said, leaving food and water by her side. For days, Clara was consumed by terror. She screamed until her throat was raw, cried until her body was too weak to move. But Aaron was always there, calm, quiet, and watching. As time passed, Clara began to notice something chilling. Aaron wasn't just her captor, he was also her savior, at least in the twisted context of her captivity. When she begged for warmth, he gave her a blanket. When she pleaded for food, he brought her meals. Every tiny gesture of humanity felt monumental. He was the source of both her suffering and her survival. She started to talk to him, desperate for any connection. He opened up about his lonely childhood, his broken life, and somewhere in her fractured mind, Clara began to feel sorry for him. She stopped thinking of escape. She started thinking of how she could avoid angering him, how she could keep his kindness coming. Months turned into a year. By then, Clara would thank Aaron when he brought her food. She would smile faintly when he joked. She even comforted him when he told her his own sob stories. Clara no longer thought of him as her enemy. In her mind, Aaron had become her protector, the only person keeping her alive. But the world outside hadn't forgotten Clara. When the police finally found her, battered and hollow-eyed, she shocked them all. She begged them not to hurt Aaron. She screamed as they dragged her away from him, crying that he wasn't a bad person. In therapy, the cruel truth unraveled. Clara had developed Stockholm Syndrome, a psychological response to extreme fear and dependency. Her mind had twisted her perception of Aaron into something tolerable, something survivable. Clara's story didn't end in freedom. Even after escaping captivity, she was haunted by her bond with Aaron. She dreamed of him at night, waking up with tears in her eyes. She blamed herself, wondering if she had somehow invited his cruelty. This is the tragedy of Stockholm Syndrome. It warps the mind in ways that are nearly impossible to untangle. Clara wasn't weak, she was human. And humans, when pushed to their limits, will cling to anything that keeps the darkness at bay, even if it's the hand of their captor.